I'm sad to report that my favorite snare, old reliable, this Ludwig Black Beauty, is in shambles. And furthermore, it betrayed me on a gig a couple weeks ago. So I was just gonna let you know what happened, why it happened, and then what I'm doing to fix it today. So as many of you know, I'm a big fan of the Black Beauty. I've made several videos about this drum and how much I like it. And I always find myself bringing it to gigs. Even though I have many wonderful snares that I love for many different reasons, I always find myself just going back to the Black Beauty because it is so reliable and it always sounds good no matter what scenario I'm playing in. And this is the story that I was telling the bass player on this gig that I was setting up for. He was asking, he's going, oh, you brought a Black Beauty? And I go, yeah, it's just, you know, I have a ton of snares, but this is just always the one I bring to gigs because always sounds good, never fails, etc., etc. Of course, famous last words. And I just played with it the weekend prior and it had been fine. So I was setting it up and I was just kind of tapping on it and the snare wires were a little loose, which I thought, that's a little bit strange, but I just tightened them back up, didn't think anything of it, went back into the green room, came back out to do sound check, and again, they were a little bit loose. I thought, that's kind of strange. I tightened it up again. I thought maybe it was a heat thing because it was a particularly hot day. And so I tightened it up again. I get it sounding decent. And the thing about this band that I was playing with is that all of the songs are mashed together and everything is played to a click. So each set is about an hour long. So I had just started with in-ears in and everything onto a click and onto a sequence that you can't really jump out of for an hour. So immediately the sound guy can kind of tell that something's wrong. He comes over, he's kind of trying to help me. Meanwhile, I'm playing one-handed and just trying to reach under the snare to like push the snare wires up to get some sort of sound. He's coming over, he's trying to help out. It's not helping at all. He's putting gaff tape everywhere, like between my legs while I'm playing one-handed. Nothing's working. He gets up, he tears my in-ears out at one point. It's just a total nightmare scenario. And so what I sort of discover in the first 5 minutes or so of this happening is that I can get it to sound decent if I hold the snares, if I provide tension with my hands, not just holding them up against the head, but actually pulling them taut myself. So I'm wondering what's going on with the throw off at the same time that I'm just holding with one hand. I've got one hand down like this, and then one hand I'm playing the rest of the set with. And yes, this is a set with drum solos, hits, stops, all that sort of stuff. I'm just sitting there like Donkey Kong with one hand down here and the other hand playing the set. Long story short, I go through the entire hour like that. It's terrible. And in between the first and the second set, I'm able to jury rig a, kind of crazy tape sort of solution to get it at least sounding halfway decent. But it was not good, to say the least. And then what happened is I started kind of fiddling with the throw off and it just completely disengaged. It just completely failed in a way that I'll see if I can kind of show you in a minute here. But basically, long story short is the Atlas throw off, which is probably my favorite throw off that Ludwig has ever done, just failed in this kind of oddly specific way, which I've never heard of happening to anybody else. So I wouldn't imagine that this is likely to happen to you, but it was just sort of this freak occurrence that happened to me for whatever reason. I'll show you what happened, and then fortunately Ludwig already sent a new throw. I've got that, so now I'm going to put this thing back together because I've got a show tomorrow and I need it to be game ready. Okay, so I'm here in the work area of the drum shop. I've already got the new throw off here from Ludwig, which is nice. And let me see if I can kind of show you what part failed for whatever weird reason here. So let's see if you can see this. There's this little lever back here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, so there's this little spot right here, and this mechanism goes up and down. See this part here that's traveling down and up? This part was popped out, and so the whole lever just was dropping for whatever reason, and I wasn't really able to get it to pop back in. So that's supposed to stay in there, and it did not for whatever reason. So anyways, if you have never messed with drums or taken drums apart, it is really, really simple. So all I'm gonna do is just pop this guy back on. Should only take like 5 minutes or so, and hopefully this thing will be back in action. All right, so that's pretty much it. We should be good to go. So let me get a new bottom head on here and we'll get it tuned up. It's starting to sound like a Black Beauty again. All right, so back in here. Starting to sound like a Black Beauty again, and I guess the moral of the story is, I don't know, what's the moral of the story? Ludwig's cool. They didn't ask any questions. They just immediately sent off another throw for me. So that was all totally fine. I have nothing against Ludwig. Tomorrow I've got another show and I am gonna bring this guy, but I think I'm gonna bring a second snare just in case. So I guess moral of the story is even those you love will sometimes betray you at the worst possible time. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.